Grimora.
Snow drifted across the two-lane highway in thin sheets, settling along the shoulder and collecting beneath the flickering lights of the roadside motel. The building sat alone between long stretches of dark road, a single row of doors facing the parking lot and a small office attached at one end. On Christmas Eve, most travelers had already reached their destinations. The highway remained quiet. Evan Brooks pulled into the lot just after 10:30. His car tires pressed fresh tracks into the snow before stopping near the office window. The red Vacancy sign glowed steadily above the roofline, its light reflecting faintly off the ice on the pavement. According to the road map, this was the last open motel for miles. Inside the office, the heater hummed softly. A keyboard hung on the wall behind the counter with only one tag remaining. Evan signed the register and accepted the key without conversation. The clerk spoke little, only noting that checkout was in the morning and that the storm might worsen overnight. Room 12 sat near the far end of the row. Evan parked in front of it and carried his bag inside. The room was clean but sparse. A bed, a small table, a chair, and a television mounted near the ceiling. A window faced the lot, giving a clear view of the vacancy sign and the empty spaces beneath it. By 11, the snow thickened. Evan turned off the television and sat quietly, listening to the wind push against the building. Occasionally, a car passed on the highway, its sound fading quickly into the distance. He checked his phone. No signal. At 11:40, he noticed the vacancy sign had not changed. Usually, once the last room filled, the sign would turn off automatically. He assumed the system was manual or malfunctioning. Still, the glow felt more present than before, casting a red tint across the snow. A sound came from outside, the soft scrape of a door opening. Evan waited. A moment later, another sound followed, like footsteps moving along the walkway. They passed his room and continued toward the office end of the building. He did not hear a door close behind them. The steps returned a few minutes later, stopping briefly outside his door. Evan remained still. The sound moved on without pause, heading back toward the far end. When he looked through the window, the lot was empty. No new tire tracks marked the snow. No lights moved between rooms. At 11:55, the heater in his room cycled off. The air cooled noticeably. Evan pulled his jacket closer and watched the clock on his phone advance toward midnight. Outside, the vacancy sign brightened. The red glow intensified, illuminating the row of doors and the snow beneath them. At the same time, a series of clicks echoed down the walkway. One by one, door locks disengaged. Evan counted them by sound. 3 doors, 4, 5. His own door remained still. Footsteps returned, measured and slow. They moved from the far end of the building toward the office, stopping briefly at each doorway. Evan noticed that when the steps paused, the handle nearest them turned slightly, testing the latch. No doors opened. At midnight, the footsteps stopped outside room 7. The handle turned fully, and the door creaked open. Evan could not see inside from his position, but the sound carried clearly through the cold air. The vacancy sign flickered once and held steady. The footsteps entered the room. A few seconds later, the door closed. Evan waited for another sound. None came. The heater resumed its cycle. The air warmed slightly. Snow continued to fall, filling the lot with quiet. Minutes passed. Then, slowly, the door to room 7 opened again. The footsteps emerged and moved back along the walkway. This time, they did not stop at the other rooms. They traveled directly to the far end and faded into silence. At 12:10, the vacancy sign dimmed and shut off. Evan slept lightly for the rest of the night. In the morning, the storm had eased. Fresh snow covered the lot evenly, with no signs of movement except his own footprints from the night before. Room 7 stood closed, undisturbed. When he checked out, the clerk said nothing about other guests. Evan did not ask. Locals later described a pattern. On certain winter nights, especially Christmas Eve, the vacancy sign stayed on long after the last room was taken. Doors unlocked and footsteps walked the corridor without leaving tracks. They said one room always opened at midnight, as if holding space for someone who never checked out.